Welcome back, I'm the Watch Nerd. On this video, we're going to go into the 2021 Rolex catalog. We're going to see what they discontinued, what there is, what are we going to talk about. And there's definitely positives and negatives, and we're going to talk about the positives first. Before I do so, though, I want to keep announcing my Chanel chain giveaway. I'm going to be giving out this chain as soon as we hit 1,000 subscribers. So if you want to be entered, there's the 4 steps in the description below. Okay, putting that all aside, let's talk about this, because I'm very passionate about Rolex and what Rolex does in the catalog. A lot of people say they didn't do much. They pulled a safe one this year. I think they did a lot more than they usually do. Now, last year was an exception. They did the full Submariner line, plus the Oyster Perpetuals, which definitely needed an upgrade. Just amazing what they did last year. Now, this year is a little more divisive. We did get the Batman back, and I'm very excited. I do want to talk about that. That was probably the one of the best things out of the entire thing for me, just because the GMT Master is my favorite sports model out there. Really one of my grails. Definitely not the first piece I'm going to get, just because it's probably impossible to get that for your first piece from an AD unless you're going there for a year or so. It's also a little bit above my budget right now in what I'm trying to look for. But that is probably the best sport model in my mind. I really do love the GMT Master. Now, with the option of Jubilee or that Oyster, I would opt for the Oyster. It is a bit cheaper, I think $200 or so. I prefer the Oyster all the way, just, I don't know, for durability, longevity. I believe the Oyster is better. Now, at the same time, Jubilee is a very solid piece. Also, we got it on the Sky Dweller line. We have it on two-tone and the regular steel Sky Dweller. We have an option now for Jubilee. Jubilee is nice on Sky Dweller, yes. Do I think it's a dressier piece? Yes, of course. But I don't know. I like it on the Oyster. We'll see, though. We'll see how they play in the market, because we've never had a Jubilee Sky Dweller. Very exciting stuff with the bracelets, but I am leaving out the whole Explorer line here. So really quick, before I do go into the big changes in the Rolex catalog, I also want to mention some other things. Yes, they didn't discontinue the Air King. The only one I'm thinking on my mind right now is the Explorer 39. That was the big discontinue of Rolex now. It changed the entire game, because now you can't buy an Explorer 39. It's gone. You have to turn to the gray market, which of course has gone up significantly since the announcement of the discontinue. What do I think about that? We'll get that towards the end, because we're not quite there yet. I do want to talk about the Explorer 2, because that was the big 50 years. Let's see what Rolex really did for the 50 years. They put in the movement of the GMT Master. It's a good movement, 70 hours, it's nothing that should be looked upon as, wow, they put a movement into this one. It's an upgrade of the movement, yes, that's about it. It's already existed, so it's not groundbreaking at any means, because the GMT Master has movement. And they thinned out the lugs. Yes, the bezel's slightly different, more of a vintage aesthetic, whatever the brushing. Let me tell you something, this is not how a 50 years should be from Rolex. Now, do I think people overhyped it? Yes. At the same time, would I buy the Explorer 2 now more? No, I don't. It's not one of my favorite pieces. I think it's fantastic for the people that like the Explorer 2. I like vintage Explorer 2s, but this reference definitely is not something I would be out after, even if I was offered at retail. And that's something we have to talk about. These watches, let's go to the Explorer one. So this is very divisive here. Let's start with the steel, because that's a cool piece. $64.50 is what they want retail. Around the same price, I will pop up the price of the 39 when it was at retail, because it was, I think it was around the same, maybe a few $100s more. Definitely not a big, huge increase. But what are you getting for your $64.50? You're getting a stainless steel case. and you're getting the Explorer dial. That's it. There's nothing different in my mind. I'm thinking about it than the Oyster Perpetual 36, which is $5,500. So you're paying an extra $550 for the Explorer name. That's it. It used to be cool because the 39 now. At the same time, yes, I get it. 36 is a cool size. 36 is versatile. 36. I've talked to different collectors. They say 39 is when the sport models. 38, 39 is when Rolex should call them sport models. Then I've heard the other side who love the vintage Explorers, and the 36 is fantastic. I think 36 is a great size to wear, but at the same time, if I was given the option of an Oyster Perpetual and sitting next to it was the new Explorer, I think I would choose the Oyster Perpetual every time. That's what I'm saying about that. Now let's address probably the worst, the ugliest watch Rolex in modern years. Honestly, I don't think there's an uglier watch in the collection right now. Include the Air King, I don't think is ugly. I think it's quirky. I think it's cool. This, I think, is dead ugly. You're getting a yellow gold, two-toned 36 millimeter Explorer for $11,000. What is Rolex thinking? Nobody's, honestly, I don't think anybody's going to buy this piece retail. And even the Explorer people, the guys who collect every Explorer, and I know there's people out there that like sport models, and especially, the Explorer, because it's got great history. And I don't know if there were two-tone. I don't believe. I know modern iterations of the Explorer don't have two-tone, and I know old Oyster Perpetuals were, so there might have been a two-tone in the past. But this is the ugliest piece. It's not supposed to be a gaudy piece in the collection. It's just not. The Explorer is supposed to be the low-key watch. If you talk to any watch enthusiast, especially about Rolex, that's the one thing. You buy an Explorer to own a Rolex, but nobody else really knows it's a Rolex unless they're, an enthusiast, and that's why you buy it. You don't buy an Explorer to be gaudy, to be flashy. At the same time, the Submariner is great in stainless steel, but I also get why people say that the Submariner, I should say, is in gold, because it's an FU watch. You wear that, and it's like, okay, I got a gold Submariner. What do you got? Like, it's that type of watch. When you wear a two-toned Explorer, what do you say? Oh yeah, this is what I got? No, because that's not what it's about. That's not the history. That's not what people want to buy. And I don't know what Rolex was thinking. Look, everybody makes a mistake, and I think this is one. I could be wrong. There could be a massive market out there on the Explorer two-tone, but I highly doubt that it is, and I really doubt, because the collectors out there that want to spend $11K on a watch are not going to buy this. I'm sorry, they're just not going to. There are so many other options out there for $11,000 like let's say the Submariner, if you can get it in steel, the regular Explorer. There's so many things, and if you even want a two-tone to watch at retail, yes, it would be hard pressed to find a two-tone watch at retail for cheaper, but at the same time, it's worth paying a little more and getting a Datejust two-toned with the new dials. Just a fact, because that watch is meant to be a two-toned gold. Well, gold is the date, but women's Datejust are gold, and the original Datejust was gold. So it's supposed to have that element of two-tone and gold. The Datejust, and even the Submariner can get away with it, but not the Explorer. That's the one thing you don't touch. And I think this production, maybe I could be wrong, but I think this will last a year, max 2 years on this production on the two-tone, because I guarantee you this is going to be like a Datejust two-tone. This is going to sit there in the AD, probably one of the only sport models that will sit there in the AD. And it just, I mean, even if you liked the look, for 11 grand, you can't argue that it's probably one of the worst value props out there. I don't even think it will go for premium I don't know if any of these watches are sold yet. I know it's brand new, so I think they're shipping out to the ADs. It's just horrid to watch when we're talking about watches. That is that's something Tech Heuer would come up with, not not Rolex. It's not something I would think Rolex as a brand would come up with. But overall, and we didn't even talk about. I'm dragging this on. I'm sorry, but we did not talk about their Daytona line. Holy crap! This is amazing. This line from the Oyster Flex Gold Daytona with that beautiful meteorite dial to the solid gold on the Oyster bracelet and I believe the rose gold. Great pieces, great dials. I've even talked about these dials before because it used to be only on a leather Daytona. You can buy it with the factory leather and that great meteorite dial. The white gold GMT Master had it too, and it's very special because Rolex cannot get more of this particular meteor. It was protected, so Rolex has a very limited supply, and when they put it in a watch, definitely means something special. Definitely means something very cool indeed. There are other pieces, of course, not on the website that Rolex has, like I actually seen it in person. The Crown collection. You see the Pearl Masters on there, but not really the Crown collection. So I'm curious if they ever come up with a watch and don't tell anybody about it because it's very cool, like the rainbow and things like that. But from what we got this year, am I disappointed? No. I know Rolex by now. I've been around the block. I've seen what they did last year. And last year, people thought it was a disappointment. When we got an entire new range of Oyster Perpetuals, people thought it was a disappointment. So I think people, unless like Rolex comes out one year with green and purple and this and that and all these dials, then everybody's going to think it's a disappointment. I definitely don't think so. I definitely think they really screwed up on that two-toned Explorer though. I think that, look, from the images alone, I have not seen the watch, and I do not like talking bad about a watch before I see it, right? I really don't like doing that. I at least like hands-on experience. But from what I saw on the aesthetics alone and the watch itself and the history and the brand, it's got to be one of the worst releases out there. I don't know what they were thinking. It's like if they go right now and release a two-toned Oyster Perpetual. It's the same exact thing. So that's where I want to leave it here. Is there anything I want to go out and buy right now? I always want to say that from the new releases. And no, there's really nothing I want to. Rolex didn't put out something that I want to run to the AD and buy. And I think that's important because last year they did. Last year they put out stuff that I wanted to go right as soon as I saw it, drive to the AD. I saw it later, actually in the night where they were closed, and asked for it. This year, not so much. So I'd love to hear everything in the comments down below. Of course, the Chanel chain giveaway, the 4 steps are in the description. And I'm curious what your thoughts are. There are cool Patek Philippe's release, but this video is just on Rolex. It's already getting pretty long. So that's where I want to leave it here. Thank you, and I will catch you in the next one. Have a fantastic day.